Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning, and what a show we got lined up for you today. TV journalist, ITV journalist, and loose women star Charlene White will be swapping the I'm a Celebrity jungle for the Hampshire countryside as she joins us in the house a little bit later. The genius chef, Claude Bosi, will be back. He'll be firing up the stoves and serving up an iconic French fish dish. Top Kiwi chef Chantelle Nicholson will be here as well. She'll be back in the kitchen with a fantastic recipe for courgette flowers. We've got a recipe of fish tacos, courtesy of a guy from Scotland. A guy in the name of Mr. Nick Nairn will be back as well. Looking forward to that one. And don't miss this week's Little Masterclass, where I'll be showing you how to make a mouth-watering Swiss roll using the fresh summer berries that are just banging season at the moment. But I thought I'd kick things off today with a sort of mini masterclass, really. I'm going to show you how the right way to prepare a dressed crab. Using these stunning crabs over here as well. These are amazing, these brown crabs. So, first of all, what do you do when you're faced with something like this? First of all, it's very simple. You've got white and the dark meat. Now, usually with a crab, if it's a male crab, they've got more white meat. If it's a female crab, they've got more dark meat. So you can pick whichever crab. These are all cooked, these ones over here, and we'll break one down. So we'll start off with, we'll do this one, why not? So we're going to take this crab over here. Now, you've got the claws, which we'll take off first. So this is where all the white meat is contained, always in the claw part and the central part of the body. The brown meat is in the shell in this part here. So take the claws off and take the legs off like that first. So we're going to trim that all off like that, just to make it easier. Now, before you do anything, you can take the meat out of here, and the best way to do that is grab your weapon of choice. Now, it looks like I'm doing a bit of knee surgery over here with everything that I've got lined up over here, from knives to different hammers. These are fine on small crabs, but with these serious brown crabs, we need a proper hammer. And then what I tend to do really with this is just sort of hold this quite carefully, and rather than just smash it and go everywhere, just carefully, because you want to try and break this as little as possible. The problem is if you smash it to bits, you end up with little bits of shell in there. It's a bit of a nightmare to get out. But if you crack it like that, you see you've got a nice even break like this. And then when you twist it, you can twist it, and then you can take out all this amazing fresh white crab, which we've got in here. Now, when it's in the big claws like this, you have a little sort of tendon in the centre, like this. So if we just take our shells off to one side, you know what I mean? If I just press this meat, you can see this meat comes off amazing like this. See, you've got this central bit over here. You want to just make sure. If you just whack it with a knife too much, you'll break this. And this is a bit of a nightmare to get out once you break it too much. But you see, you're going to remove all that lovely white meat that's all in here. So we just remove that little bit of cartilage like that. I'll use a bit for my shells. Now, also with the shells of the crab, you can keep all these because there's so much flavour in here as well. In terms of the shells, we can roast these off. You can use them for stocks or everything. So we can use the entire lot of it. So when you do this, break it down again, give it a quick tap, a quick whack, and we can open all this layer out. Now, the smaller the bits go, you can then pick another weapon of choice, really. I've got this little, you can pick these little skewers. I've got lobster picks over here, so you can get into these little crevices. It's much easier with a larger crab like this, but particularly it gets a little bit fiddly when you start getting this middle bit, this middle section of the crab out. But take your time for this. And I think this is one of the enjoyable bits when you're doing this as a chef, or you getting something like this at home. This is part of the enjoyment, almost 50% of the enjoyment. The other 50% is obviously eating it, of course, but you're probably wondering where this amazing crab comes from. But now we're going to go via the power of the internet down to Devon to speak to Chris Puncher, who's been fishing the waters around Salcombe for almost 20 years. I can see you there on your boat. So, Chris, welcome to the show. Now, I'm chuffed to bits I'm speaking to you as well, but first of all, this is actually my favourite ingredient in the world. If you could say to me, what's my favourite ingredient to cook with, to eat, to prepare, it has to be brown crab. I absolutely adore it. But you didn't start off being a fisherman as a trade, did you? You started off just down the road at a university college down the road.
That's right, yeah. I started at, I did a fish farming course at Sparshott Agricultural College. And when I finished there, I was 20 years old, and the only jobs in the industry back then were up on the salmon farms up in Scotland, out in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't really fancy that. So I decided to come down to, I got an opportunity to come down to Salcombe, and I ran a boat hire business in the estuary. And the boat hire business had a charter boat that we took bookings for, and the skipper of that retired, and I decided to take the plunge and buy the charter boat, and I did that for probably another 8 years, alongside running a small boat with sort of 30 or 40 lobster pots. And there just wasn't enough hours in the day to do both properly. So I sort of decided to go down the commercial route. And I sold the charter boat, bought a bigger commercial boat, and now I'm working 600 pots at a time.
So how do you catch them, first of all? Is it like fishing for cod? You can go wherever you want, or do you have your own specific place?
No, we have our own sort of designated areas. Not officially, just the amount of time you've been working the ground, you just tend to sort of gain that bit of area of the ground, of the sea, sorry. But I mean, my lobster gear is literally, you catch lobsters on rough ground. So, you know, when the seabed's rough, and you catch the crab out on the sand. So I've got two different areas. The lobster ground is sort of up to about 3/4 of a mile off the shore. And then the crabs tend to like deeper water, out on the sand. And I've got an area that I bought 3 years ago off a boat that was downsizing the number of pots he had. So I bought that, and yeah, that's where we catch all the big crabs.
Well, I'm just gonna get on to the next bit of this. So when you get your crab like this, I know you're keeping your eye on this bit, you've got a little line along here. This little line, nature's amazing. It's like paint by numbers. Now, what you want to do is you want to break this shell along this line. So I use a little smaller hammer and just crack this as you're doing it. Oh. So you can just break this like this as you're doing this around. So you just ever so slightly, so it just cracks all the way along there and breaks this line. Now, it's important to do it with a hammer and not doing it with your thumb, because you see that nice little scar there? That was caused on a certain Saturday show that I used to do. In rehearsal, I was doing this, pressed through, the crab shell went straight through my finger, and I ended up going to A&E on a Saturday morning, joined by a lady who was waiting quite patiently with A&E, who'd had a bit of a fight with a mate who had a stiletto stuck to her forehead. And meanwhile, she's there got with a stiletto stuck to her forehead at 6:30 in the morning at a A&E place in London. And I had a crab shell stuck out my finger like this. So use a hammer, it's a lot easier, and wear slippers. Over here, we can just wash it out like this. But you've got your lovely dressed bit of crab shell now. We can then just pat this dry. And what we've got over here is our dark and our white meat. Now, it's entirely up to you how you prepare this, whether you put your dark meat separate to your white meat, as in whether you put the white meat on the sides, the dark crab meat in the middle. It's entirely up to you, but we're just going to put that in here. And then we've got the white meat, which, I mean, look at this. It's beautiful. Look how much meat you get in there. It's amazing. You've got a pile of the old... Hopefully I'm doing this justice. I can see you watching, but hopefully I'm doing this...
You're doing better than I can.
Well, this is how I like it.
You're doing it better than I can.
To do it justice, what you want to do is you got your lovely filled crab like that, your white and your dark meat, and then what you want, this is classically, you start off with hard-boiled egg white. So hard-boiled egg white, and we press this through a sieve. Like that. Now, this is, I remember doing this when I was a young kid. First, starting out life as a young chef. It's one of these things you learn when you're at college as well. So once you get the egg white like that, we've got the egg yolk, hard-boiled, press it through a sieve. Same again, like that. Press it through there. And you really press it down. So you've got this combination of egg white, egg yolk, and parsley. So we're nearly there. It's nearly there to finish it. And then grab yourself a spoon and you can put little lines. So we've got a little line of the egg yolk, like that, on there. A little line on this side, over there. Some of the egg white, just a little line on there. And another one on there. And then, hopefully, a little bit of parsley, which we've got on here. And we've got a line of parsley which we can stick along there. There we have it. Now, what I've done is I've taken the meat out of the larger part of the legs, and the smaller part of the legs I keep to one side because I use that as a little nest. But then we can then sit our crab on. So we've got this, which sits on here, like that. Open these all out. This is a serious portion, this one, but you then place that on there. And there you have it. Now, hopefully, I've done that justice. Hopefully, you can see that. But I wanted to say thank you on behalf of all the chefs that use your stuff as well, on behalf of everybody that enjoys this stuff and all this crab that you catch. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of us for all the hard work you've been doing as well. But it's an amazing thing that you do, and what an amazing product you end up with as well.
Thank you. Cheers.
Take care. Right, I'll be serving him a southern fried chicken for my guest, Charlene White, very shortly. And Nick Nairn will be putting his Scottish spin on fish tacos a little bit later. But join us again after the break when we try and solve some of your kitchen dilemmas. I'll see you in a bit. That is delicious. Welcome back. Now I'll be treating Charlene White to my southern fried chicken with a Coca-Cola barbecue sauce. That's coming up very shortly. And we've got a masterclass in Swiss roll coming your way a little bit later on this morning. But before that, I've been joined in the kitchen by some of today's guests, and what a lineup we've got. It's like a who's who of cooks. First of all, we've got Mr. Nick Nairn, Chantelle Nicholson, and Claude Bosi. Look at the three of you there as well. Welcome to the house.
Thank you.
Good to see you all. Nick, what are you cooking first of all then? What are you going to be on the menu?
So I'm going to do a fish taco. I'm going to make a cornmeal taco from scratch.
That well-known Scottish dish.
Yeah.
Do you know it's one of the best sellers in the restaurant, so
Right.
you might argue. It's a lovely place. We're going to make that into goujons, a bit of guacamole, we've got pico de gallo, a little bit of Mexican white sauce. Bob, is your uncle.
That's on next.
So I'm going to do a herb-stuffed courgette flour with a sweet Thai basil sauce.
Sounds pretty good. And you tofu in there as well? You got a
Yeah,
little
tofu in there, just a bit of a
But the
bit of a
batter's the key
curveball.
to it, nice and
Batter is
crispy.
the key, crispy, crispy.
And I'm assuming, Claude, are we going classically French or
Classical French today.
Yeah.
Côte grenobloise. A mix of capers, lemon, brown butter, milk. Everything good for yourself.
Excellent. It's going to be really good as well. These guys will be cooking for us a little bit later. But I thought right now we'd take a look at some of the dishes you've been cooking at home. And we're going to get these guys to join in as well, really. First up, we've got to say a big well done goes to Kirsty Rose in Somerset, who had a go at making Mark Hicks, that legendary chef from London, Mark Hicks. He was on the show a few months ago and he made this amazing kedgeree, which I think is delicious as well. I think natural smoked haddock is the key to kedgeree, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. You don't want the yellow glow in the dark stuff. That's horrible.
Yeah.
No, it's lovely.
And don't overcook it, would you say? He cooked the rice separately. It was a little controversial. He sort of assembled it all together, made the sauce separate and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, fish in general never wants to be overcooked. It should be translucent inside to be able to pull the flakes away. And remember, when you take fish away from the heat source you're cooking, it's got to carry on cooking. So always stop cooking before it's fully cooked.
There you go. Next, we've got Fionn Howlin, who made this gluten-free version of a Genoese sponge on the show a few weeks ago. Genoese sponge, classically French,
Yes.
some say Italian.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a rivalry saying the Italians reckon they invented it and the French reckon they invented
Like the
it.
Italians, they say they invented the pasta and they didn't, don't you know?
Yeah. And it's like fishing for that. Low lining, bang, he's got it. And with summer just around the corner, it looks like we've got more salad recipes on the go. This one's from Robert Bine. The colours look pretty good as well. I like chickpeas in salad. Loads of lemon as well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the
That's
tin
summery.
chickpeas is amazing.
Delicious. The best way to buy them, to be
Yeah,
honest.
tin
Yeah,
chickpeas, fantastic. And
definitely.
finally, top marks this week goes to Wyn Davis, who's been down to his local farm shop to get the produce for his steak sharing platter. Now, he did say that this was enough for 8 people. Now, when you zoom in, it looks like a plate. I reckon it was a dustbin lid that it was on there. That's a pretty serious-sized platter of food there, I think. Really.
Is it chips in the middle?
Kind of starter size for a Scot.
Yeah, a Scottish starter portion or a side order portion. There we go. Now, thank you for all your photographs. And we've got loads of questions as well. So we thought we'd do this on the show as well. So I need to get serious and put my glasses on. So these have got some serious questions over here for you guys, really. So we'll start off with this one. Kit Fraser, help, I've got a vegan coming for dinner. What can I make them?
Oh, don't ask me.
Just keep watching.
Keep watching, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we have the answer.
The tofu one as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I love aubergines, grilled aubergines,
yeah.
and particularly deep-fried aubergines.
Yes.
With
but deep-fried-
caramel miso and stuff like that.
Cauliflower, heat. People don't put enough heat in their vegetables.
So what do you mean?
Caramelization.
Caramelization as opposed to
More
spice.
like you do with a steak, you know, great caramelization.
Yeah.
Same with your
So like
vegetables.
celeriac steak or
Celeriac,
cauliflower steak.
cauliflower.
Just don't invite
everything.
Claude at the same time as you've got a vegan mate coming round. But anyway, there you go. Right, we've got loads of smoked mackerel at home, says Lolly Simmons. Can you give me some advice and dishes what to do with it? Smoked mackerel.
For me, the best thing is the pâté.
Pâté, yeah.
How would you do your smoked mackerel pâté? Would you use cream
Butter.
cheese?
Creme fraiche.
Butter.
I use butter, salted
Lemon.
butter.
Just
Salted butter, lemon, black pepper, and you just mount it like if we do a rillette, like a old-fashioned salmon rillette.
Yeah.
Creme fraiche, herbs, bit of acidity.
Slightly different recipes.
I'm totally with Claude. Just butter, lemon,
So
and,
there you go, right.
black pepper.
OK, then we've got one more over here. This, a lot in the press recently, we've been told to eat more turnips. I'm not getting political with this one.
Haggis, neeps and tatties.
Have you got any great recipes, Mr. Scotsman, with turnips?
Yeah, haggis, neeps and tatties. Do you know, turnips now, we call turnips the yellow one, OK?
Swede.
No.
We call Swede?
Yeah,
No?
what you call Swedes, we call
Okay.
turnips. And just cooked down, crushed butter, a little bit of
Yes.
seasoning. It's delicious.
Yeah, completely
It
agree.
works really,
delicious.
you know.
What about a Frenchman, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I love sweet. I love sweet, I love turnip. You make the pot tofu, they're delicious, you break them down. Yeah, absolutely.
But I like putting it in stews and bits and pieces.
Yeah,
I like
great
beef casseroles and
Also
stuff like
beautiful
that.
roasted.
But raw as well. Raw is delicious. Or pickled,
Yeah,
really tasty.
Another one, salt-baked.
yeah, lovely.
Yes.
You know, salt-baked, you make a crust out of salt,
Full flavour.
yeah, and flour and a bit of water, and you cover it. The key to a salt-baking this thing is not just you cover it and you put it in the oven. I think you leave it out before you actually chop it up for
Yes, to get
probably
the-
leave it
Absorb all
overnight.
the salt.
Like a meat. You will do the same thing you will do with a piece of meat.
Yeah.
Take it at room temperature.
Leave it all out and then take it out, peel it, and then slice it. It's absolutely delicious salad. There we go. If there's anything you'd like to know about food or cooking, then do get in touch. We'll see if we can answer the questions right here on the show. And do keep sending your pictures and videos coming in. We'd love to see what we're inspired to cook at home. Right, these guys will be cooking for us later, but I'll see you after the break when we're chatting to Loose Women star Charlene White over some southern fried chicken. I'll see you then. Welcome back. Now, I'll be giving you a step-by-step guide to making the perfect Swiss roll in this week's Little Masterclass. And the genius chef that is Claude Bosi will be taking over the kitchen. That's coming up next. But first, I'm here with a woman who is used to making headlines, whether it's in a day job as a journalist on Loose Women panel or in the jungle on I'm a Celebrity. Get me out of here. It's the brilliant Charlene White.
Thank you.
First of all, congratulations for everything you've been doing. What a career.
It's been a whirlwind, James,
It
but
has
I'm
been
enjoying the
Because
ride.
I get it. I get a brief about our guests when they come on the show, and you're 10 pages I had on you, and then I started Googling and went, no, I'm going to go back onto the pages, bits and pieces. But your career has been so diverse in bits and pieces.
I if I have an idea for doing something, I just go and do it. I don't care if it's the dumb thing what people normally do. If I want to do it, I do it.
And how are you like with cooking and food? Because the list of dishes that you quite liked was quite an interesting thing. Testing
Yeah.
this one, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm my parents are from the Caribbean, so
Yeah.
obviously I grew up in a household that was full of food,
Yeah.
and they encouraged us to cook and to learn to cook and to entertain our friends through cooking and all that sort of stuff. So I was really lucky in that respect. So in my late teens, early 20s, it was not unknown for me to have my mates round to the house and throw dinner parties, and my parents would go out.
Well, we're going to give this a go because I know one of your favourite things is fried chicken. Okay, so I'm going to have my version of fried chicken, which is you've got a benchmark, which is your favourite.
I do, and now anyone who grew up in South East London knows of Morley's fried chicken.
Okay.
So for
What
me,
is it about Morley's fried chicken that makes the difference?
It's perfectly spiced, it's perfectly crunchy, it's perfectly fried, and also after you've had a heavy night out, you can still get it at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Is that it?
That is the main thing.
Well, that's why I'm ploughing you with wine now at this time in the morning. But anyway, so we're going to do my version of fried chicken. So I'm going to do this in reverse. I'm going to get this chicken on first. So we got in here plain flour. I've got a selection of spices, which is still a secret.
Oh, is it?
Until you click on the internet and find the recipe for this. But they're all going in there. The key to that is oregano. There's things like garlic salt, celery salt are the ones that you want ready. And then this is the mixture that we bring together.
Okay.
So this is your chicken pieces. I use thighs for this.
Oh, it's the tastier part of the chicken.
It's the best part rather than the chicken breast. But with the thighs, you want to take the bone out of the thighs, and what you want to do is immerse it in this buttermilk. And this has been soaking in buttermilk for 24 hours.
Just buttermilk and nothing else.
Just buttermilk, nothing else. And what you want to do is really coat this in. Now, what I mean by that is don't wipe off. A lot of people, when they're doing this, take too much of the buttermilk off.
Yeah.
You want these sort of bits of buttermilk to create these sort of globules of sort of flavour in there. But I said to you, what a career when you first started off, none of which what you're doing now was what your parents had in mind when you were younger.
No, I did lots of different things when I was younger. They sort of let us do music and drama and all these sorts of things.
Well, you're randomly saying that because you went to a serious school.
I did. I went to Italia Conti part-time from the age of 13 till 18. I was a scholarship student, which my parents were delighted with, obviously. But when it comes to choosing a career, they're an immigrant family, and when you come from an immigrant family, there are only certain jobs that you are allowed to do.
Right.
But I didn't want to do any of those things.
How did that go down as a family when you were doing? Because when did you make that decision that you weren't going to do
quite early. I was doing work experience doing journalism from 16, but I think in their heads it was something that I was just messing around with. So when I had to make my decision at 18, when it came to going to uni, they begged me. They would come in my room every night for a week and beg me not to do it.
Really?
Yeah, they sort of said I'd be unemployed for the rest of my life, that I would never leave home because I wouldn't be able to afford to do it.
See, I had a similar sort of thing with my granddad. He said, you need to get a proper job and play cricket and not be that chef sort of thing. That'll never do very well. He won't catch on that. It's true, yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's in a similar way. Because,
be a cricketer.
You know, my mum was a social worker, my dad was a postman and a driving instructor. So as far as they were concerned, they knew nobody that did this.
Postman and a driving instructor?
Yeah.
How does that work? When you finish one job, you go into it next?
Yeah. So he'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. He'd be at the sorting office at 5:45. He'd do that till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
He would then do school pickup at 3:30, and they go back out to work until 5 o'clock, and they go back.
I got that feeling when I was reading. This is before the Google bit, but when I was reading about you, grafters are your family, and you're the same.
Yeah. So my parents, between them, worked about 5 jobs between them during most of my life and their working life until my mum passed, obviously. But they worked really, really hard because my mum went to secondary school here, and when she came from Jamaica and didn't have a very good time and found, you know, she was an immigrant and a lot of her teachers were very racist and they didn't think that she'd amount to anything and they weren't pushing her in any way. So what they decided, my parents decided they wanted to send me to private school so that hopefully I wouldn't have the same experience as
How was that for you? Because I spent, as a young kid, going to private education. I mean, I remember my parents did that because there was not to diagnose as dyslexic, but I couldn't do the exams, and they thought the best way is to put you into private education, but not the case, really. How was that for you?
Do you know what? I enjoyed it. It was difficult at first because within about a week of me arriving, I experienced racism. So at 7, I was told some horrible things by the girls that I went to school with, but my mum marched down to the school, gave them what for, and there was a whole assembly about, you know, how to be with other people that don't look like you and all that sort of stuff. And after that, it was all right. But it's a very small school, and it was a school in the middle of South East London. So a lot of it were kids like me whose parents were working multiple jobs in order to be able to send them to school. So they were just normal girls, really.
I'll tell you what, that's paid off now, doesn't it, really?
Well, yeah. Do you know what? When I sort of say to my dad, you know, when they were complaining and stuff about me doing journalism, And my dad's not interested in any of the fancy stuff that I do. He's really not.
I mean, the journalism is such a broad... we take our chicken, this is going back to where we prefer, but we take our chicken and pop it into the buttermilk. This is going in here, and I've got to mix all this lot together. This is what you leave for 24 hours. This soaks in, mix it with the spice, and then deep fat fry it. But, you know, going to journalism, it's such an open subject, isn't it, really?
It is, and I think that's what they were afraid of, that actually it wasn't a stable job. You'd just be going from job to job and desperately trying to find work. And for my dad, obviously, he was a postman, so he was leaving out for work, as I said, at 6:15 in the morning. And I used to do the ITV morning news, which used to exist on ITV from 5:30 to 6 o'clock in the morning. And for him, it was when I started doing that, because he would watch me before he left for work at 5:45.
Right.
He'd go into the sorting office, and all the other posties had also been watching me.
Love it.
And then they'd be like, oh, I just watched your daughter on the telly before I came in.
How did you make that transition then? Because you were a lawyer.
No, well, I wanted to do law.
You wanted to do law?
Yeah, I used to watch LA Law. Very exciting. When you see them in court on TV, it looks great.
It's not really like that in real life, is it?
No, because I then did my work experience at Croydon Crown Court and fell asleep in court because it was so boring. So I realised that wasn't how I was going to change the world.
Right.
And then there was, you know, they do like those career days at school. I think someone's dad was a journalist or something, so he came in and did a talk. And I thought, oh, maybe that's how I'm going to change the world, by telling people stories through print. Internet didn't exist then, but through newspapers or on the telly. And that's when I made my decision.
That's it. So, look, we've got our chicken over here. I'm not going to let you taste it yet, because, you know, what I want to do is I'm going to serve it this barbecue sauce. Okay. So this is cherry Coca-Cola barbecue sauce.
Okay.
So this is your cherry Coca-Cola. That goes in there.
So is it sweeter cherry Coca-Cola?
Yeah. And then you put in ketchup.
Yeah.
And then we're going to put in some black treacle, a little bit of Henderson's relish, some brown sugar, some spices and bits and pieces, and bring this all to the boil with a little bit of garlic.
Yeah.
But this is your sort of barbecue sauce that's going to go with this. So it's a little bit of spicy.
Not dissimilar from my mum's.
Is it?
Yeah.
A little bit of chilli, a little bit of kick. We've got a little bit of garlic in here, which we'll just give a crush as well. But, you know, we're going to talk about later on in the show as well about I'm a Celebrity and bits and pieces. But I've got to talk to you about Loose Women. Because...
Have you been on
I've been on it many. It's the scariest show in the world. It is
scary,
the scariest show in the world. Because you go there with they phone you up beforehand, the researchers phone you. This is what we're going to talk about. No, it isn't. It's nothing to do with what you're going to be briefed. Then they go off on a tangent and talk about something else. And I'm sat there going, I'm supposed to be promoting a book, and they're on about something completely different.
It's amazing. It's basically getting to hang out. It's all like the conversations you wish you could get involved in, or like earwigging when it comes to, I don't know, your mum, your sister, your girlfriend.
Yeah, but you've got the best part of that, because, dare I say, you're heading the panel is a bit... You're steering a ship, but you're relying on the other lot to be quite...
Quite what?
Well... Yeah.
Find your words.
Truthful.
Okay.
Truthful.
Okay.
Truthful. But it's as yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Are you blushing, James?
Some of the subjects I will talk to you about off camera, because I know what goes on that show.
Slightly, James.
You know exactly what goes on, because we have these cue cards. And what goes on when they have an ad break? One of them writes it down. They've probably done the same to you and just goes like that.
Denise Welsh does that.
Thank you very much. That's it. I wasn't going to point out the person, but Denise Welsh does that, and it's...
She does.
Yes.
If they, which they love...
It makes you blush as well.
Sitting her next to me.
Yeah.
So what she'll do is it'll be like a random story about someone, and she'll just write it on the card and hand it to me about 20 seconds before we come back from the ad break. And I'll be like, oh, my gosh. She'll be absolutely killing herself laughing. And then I have to go, welcome back.
Precisely.
Welcome back.
So this is all coming to the point, because this is fantastic. You're about to take this on tour.
Yes, we are.
Now you thought there was trouble with Eminem when he went on tour. This is nothing. The Loose Women are about to hit the road.
We are about to hit the road in September, and we're all really, really excited. And we're just kind of seeing it as like a night out for people. You know, maybe they'll go for some wine.
Metallica tour's got nothing on what's going to be the carnage of this tour.
I don't know, we might take some wine with us when we're on the stage.
Right.
I mean, put it this way, James.
So what is the base of it? Is it the base of it going to be like the show? Is that I suppose it's got to be like that, but what is the... you start off with a subject and go off on...
Well, yeah, it's going to be like a normal episode of Loose, but obviously not televised.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's later in the evening.
Yes.
So you may well get a side of us that we can't show when we're on daytime telly, but a side to us which you've seen many times behind the scenes, James.
Yes.
So it's going to be a little bit like that, and maybe a few other bits and pieces thrown in, a few surprises thrown in as well.
Because I'll tell you, in the industry, is in the hospitality industry, you're quite known, that group. There's a group of it that you go around to restaurants, and now each chef and each restaurateur pre-warns everybody that they're coming in.
Look, we love our food,
Yeah,
you know, and we do love an evening out.
Yes, exactly.
And, you know, if a table's booked for 2 hours, there's absolutely nowhere in the world that we're leaving after 2 hours.
Great relief for you to do stuff like that, because you could then do stuff like that, and then the serious, hard-hitting stuff
Do you know
as well.
what? Both my jobs complement each other, because for me, Loose it's an extension of the news, really, because we do a lot of current affairs stuff, but also I can be more of me. I can be a bit more fun. I can have a laugh. I can get involved in silly stuff as we do on Loose. But also, I have the information that we need for all the current affairs stuff is already in my head. So it's talking about stuff that I know a lot about. And it's just giving news in a different way.
One thing I wanted to ask you as well, this is going off piece a bit, it's going back onto the newsroom thing. This is, it's got the chicken, we're going to assemble this up now, but it fascinates me, the news thing, because you've got a massive team behind you, but then they put you as the figurehead, the front of it.
Yeah.
That's tremendous pressure, isn't it, really? Because a lot of the stories, I guess, are breaking. You don't know the full information, certainly not as much information as the people that have been working on it for... How on earth do you do all that?
There's a lot of trust. I work with an amazing team and we support each other and we're there for each other, and no one will ever leave someone flailing without information. So if I jump onto set to do breaking news, which I've done several times, I know there'll be someone in my ear who will be constantly feeding me information if that's what I need.
What are the stories that come to mind for you? If you look back on, you know, the relatively short career that you've been doing it as well, because it's going to go on for a lot longer. What have been the ones that you think these are moments that...
Oh, well, I've been doing it for 20 years now, which is
I know,
really
but I'm saying this as a newsreader, there's people do it for a lot longer, don't they?
I know. Well, the most recent one that comes to memory, of course, is Ukraine. And we did, on ITV, weekends and weekends of special programmes where you'd have a plan for what you wanted to happen during that programme, but the nature of war is that things can arise through the course of the 3 hours that you're on the TV for. So you do have to arm yourself with knowledge before you go to air, but also you rely on the teams that you work alongside, both those in the field and those who are working with you in the studio
But
as
it's
well.
getting the tone right, you know? When you're coming out of a subject like that, you go from sport and then all of a sudden you're talking about Ukraine. Friends of mine are in the army, and so the war is something you cannot describe until you're actually there. But for you to be describing that to the nation...
So the way that I always think about it is as if... So I used to work at Radio 1, and one thing my editor there would always say, it's think as though think of it in terms of you're telling a story to your friend in a pub. So if we're sat in a pub having a beer, having some wine or what have you... and
Give it 3 hours, we will be.
Yeah, we will be. And I'm telling you a story, it's in a very similar vein. So sometimes we'll go quite low and deep and meaningful because it's a serious story, but then at the end of our drink, we may well be having a laugh about something funny that you've done or I've done or what have you. It's not dissimilar to that, really, except you just have to make sure that you keep to that tone when you're doing your hour's programme.
Well, I can't wait to see a combination of that and Loose Women on Tour. But I was going to explain the dish while I've been doing it, but we've done it. So this is your deep-fried, southern fried chicken with cherry cola barbecue sauce, a little bit of chilli, a little bit of mint, and some spring onions. Done. Yeah. Right, I'm going to take one.
OK.
While you have the rest.
All of that's for me.
All that's for you.
Amazing.
That's all for you.
Oh, you were so kind.
And if you eat it all, you get so many bad looks from all this lot in here. But have a taste of that.
OK.
See, chicken, look at that. Lovely.
OK, let's taste.
The barbecue sauce is wicked.
Oh, my God. Oh no, if I say this is nicer than Morley's.
You're never going to get in again.
No. But you've done a good job.
Thank you very much. You can write it down like you do on Loose Women and tell me after the break. There we go. Tell me what we got on break.
Okay.
There we have it. Now we'll be serving up a second course of lamb shanks for Charlene later on in the show. And there's a masterclass in Swiss roll coming your way a little bit later. But see you after the break when we've got the amazing two-star Michelin chef Claude Bosi will be sharing a recipe with his iconic fish dish. I'll see you in a bit. It's lovely, that, isn't it?
Mm.
Welcome back. Now, there's still loads more to come from my guest, Charlene White, and I'll be making a stunning Swiss roll with summer berries in this week's little masterclass. But first, I'm here with Chantelle and Nick, and we're all getting ready to enjoy a dish from a Frenchman who's moved to the UK to open the legendary Hibiscus and has been at the top of his game ever since. It's the brilliant Mr. Claude Bosi.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you back,
Thank
Chief.
you,
Good to have you back. What are you going to be doing there? Because this is from the new restaurant. Tell us about.
No, this is a dish from Bibendum, but
Yeah.
it's we have put an interpretation towards Soca and the Mediterranean restaurant we're doing for. But this is a Côte Grenobloise.
Okay.
Donc Grenobloise, not far from Lyon, where I'm from.
Yeah.
A mix of brown butter, capers, lemon, a bit of everything, actually. It's very nice and tasty.
Your interpretation of it, then, is it?
My interpretation.
So Grenobloise would be what? What would it be? Lemon, breadcrumbs, what
would be
brown
lemon,
butter?
capers, parsley, brown butter.
So it's like a...
Like a beurre noisette, if you
Beurre
want.
noisette.
You start a meunière,
Yeah.
but you add all these ingredients. That's part of the Grenobloise.
Sounds pretty good. Right, you want me to peel potatoes? I know that's my job.
Peel the potatoes.
So what you're going to be getting on doing the cod and bits and pieces.
That's
so...
it. Donc we need to... The sauce, donc all the flavor we got in the Côte Grenobloise, with the brown bread, as I mentioned, the lemon, everything, we're going to bring it to a sauce.
Right.
And with that sauce, we will finish the plate. On your side, you've got the potatoes, where we're going to peel it. They're nice and hot. Sorry, but I did say to the production, they're going to be hot. He says, fine, they can do that. Okay, that's great. Yeah. And we're going to use the cod. Donc the cod, I've got the loin, who's been... is it hot?
Yeah, they're really hot, yeah.
I haven't done that for ages, to be honest, peeling hot potatoes. I'm just asking.
Do you want to have a go?
No, I'm all right. I don't think my hand can stay anymore.
Do you want to have a go?
No, I'm fine with this.
Okay.
Donc the idea of it is I've got the loin, but also we're going to use the meat we get on the top of the head. You know, when we fillet the fish, you get some bone left on some meat left on the bone.
Yeah.
So we get back all of this, and with this we're going to make, like we call a brawn, but it's normally made with meat. Normally you use pork, pig head. We're going to make it with the with all the garniture of the cod.
So tell us about the new restaurant then, because you had Hibiscus in the centre of Mayfair.
Well, Hibiscus Central Mayfair.
You then moved out and you've got Bibendum, which is amazing. You've got the 2 Michelin star place above and the brasserie down below. And then you've decided that you're going to expand. And tell us about the new one.
No, we decided I had some spare time on my week. I said, let's do something else.
At night.
Yeah.
Let's do something else. And we decided to do a Mediterranean restaurant.
Right.
Donc I had a business partner who said to me, Claude, I've got this site. I want to do a little Mediterranean restaurant. Would you be interested?
Yeah.
I said, why not? Let's do this. Donc we opened Soca. We opened Soca 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
It's been well received. It's about all the Mediterranean coast. We're going from Marseille all the way to Nice, Monaco. We have some lemon, a bit of lemon.
And what is it about Lyon? Because you look at that area of France, it not only breeds amazing chefs, but amazing food. What is it about that area?
It's just the produce.
Right.
The produce you will find in this area, I mean, we've got one of the best markets in France. With this is, if you think about where we are, it's all about, you've got the fantastic meat, the vegetable, I know you've been, all the vegetables, the fruit are just amazing. And people like eating. I mean, listen, you don't get that size, but not like eating. And every time I go home, I must say, have you lost weight? I say, are you actually kidding me? I'm trying to lose weight. And it's just about good food, respecting the produce.
Yeah.
And everything you like, cream, milk, and where's the black pepper?
Now, as well as talking about France and your love, but you also love the UK so much, you've extended outside of London. You do a little bit on the Isle of Wight as well.
Yeah, what a beautiful island.
You love it, don't you?
Oh. You know, you take the boat, you cross over, and you feel you leave everything behind it. I love it. It's a beautiful island. I only found out 3 years ago when I took over the George. And
It's amazing the temperature when you get on the ferry. It's only 15 minutes away from here.
Yeah.
And you get off the ferry. It's like 3-4 degrees warmer.
as they say, you got a microclimate.
It's amazing, isn't it? Great
It's,
garlic, great tomatoes and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, the asparagus are amazing. The strawberries are amazing. So you just steam it slowly. This is fine. It's getting here slowly.
Right, so the fish is
we've
cooking
got,
away
We've
nicely.
got the bread in the oven.
Come and see an asparagus.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Very exciting.
The bread is in the oven.
Can I just say, Claude, life's too short to be peeling hot potatoes.
No,
to be honest with you.
that's what you're doing it, and I'm not
I just
doing
feel like I've just lost 5 minutes of my life. I'm never going to get back.
Never get back.
Yeah, this is why I'm not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Can I stop now?
Yeah, it's enough. More than she's too much of it.
Oh, thanks.
Of course, of
So
course.
you've got the bread we just put in the oven and caramelize.
Yeah.
Infuse it in some milk. We're going to add some brown butter.
So this is the sauce bit of it, is it?
Yeah, the sauce bit of it. I just want to put this on cooking side of it, just to get the infusion.
So do you want me to put that in the fridge?
Yeah, donc first I'm going to put the other leaves on top of it. You know,
Ah, right, okay.
just when you cut it, you got a bit of colored side of it. So this is the dashi finished with some parsley, chlorophyll. And it's just going to set. With the gelatin, you will set. Okay?
In the fridge.
In the fridge, please. Thank you very much. And you got the one I made before, as we said?
I've got that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame you didn't have any peeled potatoes that you brought with you as well, but no.
I did, they didn't want me to use it. Okay, donc the potatoes you have done, we're going to caramelize them with some
Do you want me
brown-
to cut them or are you just happy
Yeah,
with
just crush them with a fork.
it? Okay.
We can crush them, crush them with a fork. A mix of brown butter, normal butter, and just blend that up.
Get that there, that's fine.
That's it, yeah.
Yep.
And we're just going to just crush them in it.
Okay. That's it. So I've peeled them and now we waste all that peel by crushing them all up.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I like this. I mean, this is going to finish in the mixer, as you're aware of it.
I remember with the first one of the first dishes I tried for you was scallops, and you brought this, you made this amazing pork pie,
Yes.
and you went and stuck it in a blender.
Yes, I did.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It was delicious.
Beautiful pork pie. It looked amazing, and they took the whole lot and blended it all, and that was the pork pie sauce with the scallops.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
We haven't done it for a while, but one day
day's a
we'll
school
come
day.
back.
I know, isn't it?
Right, so that's that.
Well, that is the first one. We'll finish it later on with some dressing.
Okay.
And this we need to...
That's that little one as well. Looks amazing, doesn't it?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
Yeah, very simple. I mean, it's a nice way to use all the fish.
Right.
Because, I mean, cold chicks is delicious.
Yeah.
Okay, this is... Nice
bowl.
You see this?
So you do it until it burns the bottom of my pan.
Yeah, you want to burn it. You want to burn it? A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I will clean the pan, I promise.
Yeah. I could see that. I mean, yeah. Right.
Okay, the fish is
Fish looks amazing.
nearly cooked, yeah. We take the clean film off nice, top the side of it. And move this.
Turn that down a bit.
Smells good. Just get that caramelisation from the spuds.
Yeah.
Looks lovely,
Brown
doesn't it?
butter. Can't beat it.
Yeah, the fish. Donc the fish been lightly salted.
Lightly salted.
Yeah, just to keep a bit of a shape, and most of it, as you know,
It's quite. We do that in the restaurant. It holds it like glue, doesn't it? When
Yeah.
you.
and it
put it
gives you
together.
this lovely flaky texture. It was actually amazing. Okay. Donc these potatoes, we're going to deglaze them with a bit of sherry vinegar, just to get the
burnt stuff off of the bottom of the pan.
burnt stuff out of the pan.
Yeah.
Look. And you don't want to go too high when you deglaze it,
Yeah.
because the flavor will go and it's just finished with loads of acidity.
Yeah.
So you deglaze it slow and bring back some caramelization a bit more.
Can I first of all, we're going to talk something off piece as well. I just want to say thank you for joining us. It's amazing how many times you've been to my house, and yet today you still put the wrong postcode in. Where did you end up?
The other side of Portsmouth.
In a field, the other side of Portsmouth.
And I know James' house. I mean, I passed enough time there. It's not here anymore.
It's been moved.
Something's got somebody took it away. It's not here anymore. What's happened? And yeah,
When did you actually realise? When you were actually getting out of the car in the field?
you know, sometimes sat-nav take you different road. I trust my sat-nav, big mistake. Do not trust your sat-nav. And we just come there and I thought, this is not right. And I cut the flag on the map. See, the flag is here, the house is not here. Let's check the email.
Yeah, and it's the wrong postcode,
And
right?
the email was the wrong postcode. Donc you got the
Amazing,
potatoes
yeah.
here.
Okay.
To give you a bit of texture, I've got a mix here of capers and bread.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. The fish is cooked. Yeah, the fish is cooked now. Perfect. Come on here. Put the cod here if you want to. Nice.
Yeah.
I always like chefs that talk to themselves when they're plating up. It's just like, yeah.
I'm not insane. I promise you. It's just
Semi didn't do that while he was driving in the car, to be honest with you.
That's it. And you just fill it up.
It's
Look,
amazing.
you got a little jug here on the side where we got some dressing, the traditional French dressing.
Yeah.
And I will put it on top of the terrine with a bit of, that's it. This is parsley oil.
Right. What's that?
Beautiful plate, this. Bit of parsley oil. That's it, shake it.
There you go.
But the idea of that is this is quite rich,
Right.
and you use this a bit as a condiment. So you have a bit of this, a bit of this. This will bring some acidity. This will bring some butter and cream.
So you're happy with that?
Very happy with it.
Give us the name of this dish then.
Cod grenobloise.
Claude Bosi, everybody. It's great, that, Chief. Now, you get to dive into this. So, a little bit of each.
Ladies first, come on.
Oh,
Dive in. We'll have
this one first, though?
That's
assuming this is the best
restrained,
bit.
on
This
my
is the
part,
best
so-
bit.
This is the best bit. There you go, Chief.
Yeah, it's
That's delicious with the lemon and the parsley and no.
So
But
fresh.
this is fabulous.
yeah, very much so.
Super tasty, that, huh?
so good.
Oh, it's delicious.
Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. Claude Bosi, everybody.
Thank you.
Do you want to know the way back, or you're okay getting back home?
I put some mark on the way back.
Right, getting warm. Yeah, good. Now there's a masterclass in Swiss roll heading your way, and I'll be enjoying Nick Nairn's fish tacos a little bit later. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, it's this lady's turn to take over the kitchen duties. We'll be rustling up some amazing crispy courgette flowers. See you in a couple of minutes. It's delicious, that, Chief. Absolutely delicious. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be sharing the only recipe for Swiss roll you're ever going to need in this week's little masterclass. And I'll be serving up lamb shanks with a butter bean ragu for my guest, Charlene White, a little bit later. But first, I'm here with Mr. Nick Nairn, and we're delighted to have back in the kitchen a chef who wowed us so much with the first appearance on the show, we just had to have her back to taste more of her incredible food. It's the brilliant Chantelle Nicholson! Now, I loved your food last time you were on. What are you going to be doing for us now, then?
So, obviously, we're in the amazing new season with some lovely warm weather.
Well,
hopefully.
yeah, exactly,
We're hoping
yeah.
it's going to stay around. So, courgette flowers,
Yes.
which for me herald that kind of really beginning of summer. Super delicious. So, I'm going to stuff them with a tofu puree, no judgment. Nicely herbs. Some delicious olive oil, which we're going to make a kind of a basil sauce, not really a pesto.
You're
It's
using
more of a
this sort of
sauce.
Thai basil as well.
Yeah,
I
because
suppose.
it's one of my favourite herbs.
It's really
It's
fragrant, isn't it?
so fragrant, and it's also got a bit of a, it's a bit more intense, but not quite as floral. So it's just got that really delicious kind of scent to it.
Right, so you want me to get on and do some chop
you
some
could
herbs?
chop
for you,
some
is it?
herbs.
So we've got coriander, we've got some
chives and some parsley.
some chives, okay.
And they can just pop in with the tofu there.
Why tofu?
We do quite a lot of plant-based food at Prestige.
Okay.
So for me, this is a really delicious... I guess it's kind of a take on the traditional ricotta.
Yeah.
But this way, it's plant-based. It's also allergen-free, as we all know.
So tell us about the restaurant then, because this is a new restaurant. So where is it? What is it?
So Duke Street in Mayfair, so near Selfridges, for those that kind of know London well. And it is, a restaurant that's kind of based on doing things slightly differently. So we try and, we use as much local, seasonal, British produce as possible, and just trying to find ways of doing things that are a bit different. So we...
Do you want me to blend this then?
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay.
I'm just making the tempura batter here, actually. So this is gluten-free self-raising flour, which I find has a really lovely crispness to it, nice and bubbly.
Yeah. And then we just add in the herbs to this. Is that
So
your
the
one?
herbs and a little bit of splash of this.
I'll let you pour it.
A glug of this, actually,
the
because
herbs
it's
in.
just this amazing...
So this being the olive oil.
Yes, this incredible olive oil from Portugal, actually.
Right.
So obviously we can't get good olive oil
Do you
in
want
this
to chuck the
country,
herbs in
sadly.
as well?
Yeah.
There you go.
So let's pop those in there.
See, Portuguese and Spanish olive oil.
Amazing.
So good, aren't they?
That's stonking. Yeah.
Everybody goes olive oil, they go Italy. But, you know, look at...
Yeah.
I know.
It is absolutely amazing.
So good.
The Spanish are really serious about the provenance of the oil as well.
Serious about food in general, I think, more than anything else. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I guess they probably have, a bit more sunshine than us.
Right, so there we have that.
Perfect. That's amazing.
So you said the restaurant, you do a lot of vegetarian food. I mean...
We do, yeah. And we also do a lot of zero waste, so we don't use any cling film or plastic in the restaurant. So
Noting that.
so what is this then?
this is silicone. So
Right.
reusable, obviously gets washed, sterilised, and then it means that we can kind of repurpose rather than throwing things in the bin. If you want to pop that into there for me, that'd be great.
Like how she gives me this job to do this bit.
Right, you're going to talk about these...
You're so good at it.
These courgette flowers, yeah.
So, courgette flowers, which are one of my favourite things. So we're going to stuff those. I'm going to make some basil sauce.
So this is like a pesto, but it hasn't got any nuts and parsley in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Parmesan.
But it's also it's a bit sweeter.
Yeah.
So we're going to pop a little bit of nice brown sugar in there.
I mean, you're a keen gardener as well.
Just going to say, yeah.
You're a keen gardener as well. I mean, like I am. But, you know, when you're growing your own courgettes like that, it seems a shame that you can't buy... You go around Europe, and we talked about Portugal, you go around Portugal, Spain, Italy, France.
Yeah.
You go around any supermarket, they've got courgette flowers as abundantly as they've got courgettes.
Yeah.
It's kind
No,
of
every-
weird. What happens to these things? I don't...
Well, I use them, and I have millions of them, and I've actually got a slight problem with some of my courgette plants, and I'm sure gardeners will write and tell me why, but they don't produce fruit. I get flowers, but not fruit.
There is a male and a female courgette plant,
There is,
isn't
so
it?
you have to get a little
There
brush
is.
out and start
You have
brushing.
to get both, and then you need to encourage wildlife here for the bees to cross-pollinate.
all about
I only
It's
found
all
that
about the
out
bees.
last year. But what we did is we got bees. But we've got bees that are slightly agrophobic, don't like coming in the polytunnel. So I've now got marigolds.
Scottish bees. They
That's
don't...
Scottish.
It's too hot in there. I'm not going in there.
It is too hot. Do you know the polytunnel? 3 days ago, it was 28 degrees. It was freezing in the morning, and by lunchtime it was 28 degrees.
Scottish bees, you see, they don't like it too hot.
Incredible.
Do you want me to pipe this in here?
Please, yeah. I'm
Right,
just
so
gonna
tell
give
me
us a
how much
pulse.
you want. So these are
So
the...
it's not going to spill out,
Tell me
really.
when.
So, that's perfect.
There.
Amazing. I'm just going
Gonna
to
leave that
gather
here.
the...
Now, I
Gather
take
the
these
little
out of a
tops together.
matter of course.
Yes,
Yes.
the stamen.
So take these little stamens out. These
Can you give us a
The
pulse?
little things that you have fertilised.
Yes, those little things over there. We're just
I'll
going
take that for you, mate.
So we got the courgette flowers, which we just stuff these. There we go. And fold them over like that.
Yeah.
So you're going to basically dip these in the batter and
Dip
then
them in
deep
the
fat fry them,
batter,
is that
pop
right?
them in the fryer, and then we're going to drizzle them with this
Right.
kind of sweet, acidic...
Now, didn't you train as a lawyer,
I did.
first of all?
Yeah.
Not me.
So what made you decide that this is not my thing, I'm going to don an apron on and I'm going to go in the kitchen?
So...
Are you mad?
Yeah, I know, right? No, come on, you couldn't sitting a day in front of a laptop or whatever you're doing. It wasn't
So
a laptop
were you a
those days.
passionate eater-outer?
I was a passionate eater, I would just say, from a very young age.
Uh-huh.
Also a passionate cook from a young age, actually.
Uh-huh.
I was just...
Was that family that it sort of encouraged
Yeah, I
you?
think it was. And also, in New Zealand, we don't... we take packed lunches to school, right? Because
Yeah.
we don't have school dinners. So if I wanted something delicious in my lunch, I had to make it myself. So from a young age, I think I learned to kind of bake and cook so that I would have something delicious to eat.
Are you North Island or South Island?
North, but, well, see, I have more an affinity with the south. So I
Ah.
studied in Dunedin,
Okay.
which obviously is a
Dunedin.
very Scottish town.
Did you go when you
Little
were in the
Edinburgh.
Navy, or did you go...
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was there in 1976. When,
were you?
Yeah, New Zealand was quite the place.
Yeah.
Right.
All driving around in kind of old Austin A40s, and it was very kind of back in the day. And it's changed out of all recognition. And I was filming there about 4 years ago, and it's just it's this amazing place. It's just fantastic. It's like Scotland on steroids. It's got everything, all the scenery. It's got amazing
Yeah,
produce.
beautiful.
And
It's
really,
a place where I've never been. I've never been
oh,
to
you've got to
Australia.
go.
I'd-
You've got to
You
go.
need
And
to
it's
go.
so.
Produce,
If you,
yeah.
when you're driving, we went down from the north to the south, and every time you come around a corner, the landscape's changed.
Yeah.
It's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you worked in classical restaurants as well when you
So
started.
my first job, that's why I moved to London, actually, I was offered a job at the Savoy Grill
Yeah.
by a gentleman called Josh Emmett, who was the head chef at the time.
Oh, Josh.
Yeah.
I know Josh.
So he was the one that gave me the beginning, really, of my time in
So what
in
made
London.
you? Because the idea of having that and then setting up your own place,
Yeah.
it's a big difference between working in the kitchen and then deciding, right, this is it, I'm going to do my own thing.
I think it is, but I think for me, I always really enjoyed the business side of it as well.
Yeah.
So, and I did a bit of operations for a number of years. So for me, it was to be able to combine food, which I love, and then also the business challenge and interesting parts of it. Was just, yeah.
Well, tell us the dressing. I'll look after what you've got in here, and you can explain what we've got in our
yes,
dressing.
It's just basically very simple. The Thai basil also really fragrant, sweet, touch of sugar just to
balance out
enhance the
some sugar.
sweetness.
And we missed
vinegar
what you were
for the
doing
acidity.
with this
We did,
this
didn't we?
batter as well.
Talking about Dunedin. So batter is just, literally gluten-free self-raising flour, some soda water, salt, and then it's just dipping them in, and we'll just give them a bit more of a...
It's the gluten-free flour. It turns the batter amazing.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. I think because it's got about 4 different flours in there, so different starches and flours, which just make it into something that just adds a next
Those
level
kind of cornstarch, potato starch...
Potato flour, rice flour.
Rice flour, gram flour,
Yeah.
all of those things, lentil flour, they all make really nice, light, crisp
But for a
Isn't it?
batter, it
It's
stays
lovely.
crisp for a long time.
Yeah.
That's the great thing. If you're doing this at home and want something, everybody's going about tempura batters and stuff like that. But if you take
This is
this
what-
gluten-free flour, the self-raising one,
Yes, it's perfect.
just fantastic.
I know.
Fantastic for batters.
And it
Sparkling
holds as
water
well.
as well, gives it
yeah,
that-
bit of soda.
Yeah.
Or beer
Cold.
if you're...
Yeah,
That's
Right,
that's
so there you
very
go.
light.
I'm going to give you that, and then
Amazing.
we're about not far from ready to plate. So
Yeah, we are.
I'll leave that
I'm going
with
to give
you.
these a look, these courgettes. And I just love the little, the courgettes, and they just get all delicious and juicy. So
Yeah, that batter looks amazing.
this is, very, very,
Flaky and crispy and light.
Oh, isn't it?
very simple. We're just going to go straight onto the plates there with those guys. And then the sauce over the top.
And you can find this basil now in the supermarket. You can see
You can
this.
actually, yeah, you can. A few years ago, perhaps not, but it is, it's just something that I feel.
I grow it, and
Next
it's easier to
level.
grow than Genovese.
Is it?
So they normally
Yeah,
tell
yeah, it's
That's
more-
because of Scotland. It's too hot. The bees won't go in there. It's too hot.
It's that sunshine, isn't it?
This is going to run and run.
You've never heard the end of this. So
That's lovely.
super simple. Summer on a plate, really,
It's
isn't
fantastic. Then give us the name of this dish.
it? So crispy courgette flowers with a sweet basil sauce.
How good does that look? Go on then, you can have that one.
Whoa.
There you go. He's got his eye on the batter recipes.
isn't he? I
That
know.
batter recipes.
I've got it, Dove Farm.
Done.
What flour is that?
Yeah.
Just stay
this is-
crispy, doesn't it?
You can hear it. I love that.
Yeah, you hear it, crunchy.
Sound, right?
Right, tofu, you say.
Yeah.
Dressing makes that.
That's obviously good tofu.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. That tastes great.
It tastes great. The
Yeah.
dressing's delicious with it, doesn't it, really? That floral stuff, it doesn't work with normal basil.
No. I mean, it does, but it's just like this. Just
Oh, no, it's vegan.
intensifies
Not as good as that.
Summer. Yeah, yeah.
Vegan.
Not as good as that. I've cooked it in beef dripping, but anyway, don't tell anybody. I'm only joking, Right, Chantelle, everybody! Right, Nick will be trying to trump that dish, and Claude's recipe a little bit later. Good luck with that one. I'll be chatting some more with my guest, Charlene White, over a dish of lamb shanks at the end of the show. But I'll see you after the break with a masterclass in Swiss roll that you don't want to miss. I'll see you then. This is delicious.
It's
This
really
dressing's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Welcome back. Now I'll be laying on lunch of lamb shanks for my guest Charlene White a little bit later. But first, it's time for this week's little masterclass. And this week's masterclass thought to show you the proper way to make a Swiss roll. And I'm going to serve this one with summer berries, really. So, Swiss roll, first of all, what is it? First of all, it's a sponge. but it's a sponge with less flour. Usually, for a recipe, if you compare it to a normal cake, like a Genoese sponge, Genoese has got butter in it, but normal sort of a cake where you make it with eggs and sugar, it usually contains half the amount of flour. That's the key to it. So we start off with some eggs, ideally room temperature eggs. There we go. They go straight into there with the sugar. Now, whenever you put sugar and eggs in together, make sure you're using it straight away. You don't allow it to sit there while you do everything else, because the sugar will actually start to cure the eggs. And if you end up with little yellow spots in there, that means that the actual eggs have started to cook or cure. Next, we're going to take our piece of paper for our tin. Now, our tin that we're using over here, you need to make sure your piece of paper is just slightly bigger than the tin itself. So we're just going to trim that. Now, it's almost as in the preparation is almost as important as the finishing of the Swiss roll bit. If you get this bit right, you're sort of nearly over the hurdles with a couple more hurdles to go. But we start off with a nice little tin over here, a touch of butter, and we're going to take the butter and then push this into the corners. It's not necessarily for this bit, but it's really for the corner bit where we want this paper to stick. Next, we've got our piece of paper like this, and then we can then just place that roughly, it sits over equal all the way around. And then you take each corner, and what you want to do is cut about 1.5 inches, a couple of inches, into the corner, like that. About a 45-degree angle, straight in there, cut straight through. That's not enough. If you cut there, that's not enough. It's got to go right in, like that. And then as it sits over the tray, like that, if you put your hand in and push to the edges, you can see straight away what happens. See that crease? You've almost got this perfect crease and fold in the tin. If you push it in without doing that, you'll end up with crease. The sponge sticks in it. When you take the paper off, half the sponge comes off with the paper, and you sort of don't get that nice oblong bit of sponge. So really take your time when you're doing this. You've got time, because this is going to take a while to do. So we've got our flour, we've got our vanilla. Now, I'm going to make a little bit of a sauce with this. Some people call it coulis, but we're not in France. This is a little sauce. We've got some berries over here. You can take some fresh raspberries, some blueberries, some blackberries, whatever you want, really. You're going to take these and blend them all in here. So a little bit of the blackberries. Blitz them all up. Meanwhile, over here, this is continuing to whisk up. There's no need to sort of break it down like you would do with a conventional sort of sponge, where you're sort of getting it around the edge when you're using butter and sugar to mix it all up before you add the eggs and the flour. A sponge like this, you just keep mixing it. And ideally what you're looking for is a figure of 8 forming in the top of it. So we have our sauce mixture over here. And then what I do, just as a matter of consistency, all I do really is get rid of the seeds out of this. So you get this nice, lovely, rich sort of sauce that packs a punch, this. So get rid of all the seeds out of this. You can mix it all in if you want, but I think it's better if you just remove the seeds out of this as well. But you've got your nice little bit of sauce, like that. So that's that bit done. Next up, we're about there with our sponge. So we can take this off now. We can then double check, lift this off. We can create this figure of 8. If you lift this up, you get that figure of 8. You can see it's holding its shape now. There we go. As it holds in there. Now, you've got to work quite quickly, but confidently. So what I would generally do is throw all your bits and pieces of your cupboards away, your spoons, your spatulas and that sort of stuff. You've got the amazing spoon and spatula. It's called the end of your arm. It's called your hand. Use the damn thing. You take the flour, pop that in, roll your sleeves up, open up your fingers, and then mix this together. If you open up the fingers like that, it mixes this mixture in so much faster than any spatula, any spoon, You can get right into the bottom, open up those fingers like that, and you've created a lovely mixture. Which that is. Very, very quickly you do it. And then you can grab your sponge now and pop it into the mould like that, or into the tin. So once you've got to that stage, take your hand, go into the corners, like that. You take your nice little bit sponge like that. Then, in the oven, I set the oven about 180, so not too hot. You want about 180, middle shelf. This is going to take, in this oven, it takes about 10 minutes. Some of them will maybe take about 11 to 12 minutes. It's entirely up to you in terms of what oven it is, convection or whatever, but middle shelf, and you want to cook that just so you get a nice even colour, which we've got on here. Then we can get everything ready for our Swiss roll bit, a part of it. So I've got some cream over here, which I'll softly whip. Now you want it firm enough to sort of hold our Swiss roll. Not over whipped, but certainly not under whipped. Otherwise you're going to end up with a nightmare trying to roll it up. You can add a little bit of sugar in with this, but I don't think there's any need with the fruit and everything else that we've got in here. So you've got a lovely bit of whipped cream. Now, this is the important bit. You take yourself a clean tea towel and then get a bit of water and dampen the tea towel down a bit, like that. Now, this is a damp tea towel. This is not straight out of a washing machine, wet through, just a damp, clean tea towel. There we go. Then we grab some sugar. This is some caster sugar. Sprinkle that over the top. There we have it. And then take your sponge. And we then turn this over straight on top of the damp tea towel. This sponge is cold now. You don't need to do this while it's still warm. Some people would do this while it's still warm and then they say, well, it actually creates a better sponge. But yeah, just make sure the tea towel's damp. That's the key to it. So you can see, by creating those little folds in there, you get no sponge left onto the paper, but you get a nice edge. We're going to trim this off anyway afterwards, but it's a good idea to get in the habit of doing that because it just makes it nice and clean. Now, you can decide which way you want to go. If you want sort of a massive Swiss roll, then you're going to roll it this way. If you want a thinner Swiss roll, you're going to roll it this way. It's entirely up to you. But I'm going to do it this way, I think, because I'm going to do it that way. So we start off with our nice little bit of Swiss roll. We can take our fruit over here and just spread that over the top. So very similar to how we would do it with jam, I suppose, really. Now, this is the bit, the top bit, is going to be the inside of the Swiss roll. This is the leading edge. This is the bit that's going to be the last bit to roll up. So what I do, really, with this one is just leave about an inch, really. And this is important. If you've got any filling or anything you want to put in there extra, this is the bit that stops it from leaking out and going everywhere. So this gives you a little, yeah, like that. So you just, but you can see you're going to get this amazing flavour from this fresh fruit. Now, of course, you can use jam, which is fine. But when you've got berries this fresh, because they're coming into season right now, utilise them. Right, so once we've got that, then we can take our cream and then we can roll it. So don't worry about getting this sort of fruit mixture on top of here. What you want to do is then spread it like this. Now, what you've got to be careful of is not too much filling. Otherwise, it's just going to end up with a big mess when you come to roll it up. So spread this out. I've got a nice little bit of spatula now. We can spread this nice and flat. So right over, get it into those corners. We're going to trim that off anyway. The main thing is you're getting it into this bit as you go. And when you get to this bit, remember, this is the bit that you want to get it slightly thinner, because as you roll it up, all the filling is just going to squeeze out and squeeze out like this. But that is what we're looking for. Now, the rolling of it. A lot of people see this as quite complicated. It's actually quite easy. It's quite therapeutic, to be honest with you. It's more therapeutic watching somebody do it than you do it yourself, but what you want to do is utilise the tea towel. And the idea being, as you roll it up, you keep the tea towel quite tight. And as you roll it up like that, you can then tuck this bit in. So the first bit's the important bit. So you start off with that bit, tuck it in, keep this nice and tight. And as you roll it in, like that, each bit is sort of tuck it into each other, like this. So I'll lift that across. You roll it, roll it, roll it, keeping it nice and tight till it stops. And then a lot of chefs will just leave it like this, so it just sets nicely, but then you can lift this off. And you've got a Swiss roll. Kind of thing like that. If you're worried about the perfect Swiss roll, then clearly you need to live in a tent and you need to get out more, because the main thing for me is all about taste, all right? So what I'm going to do now is just trim this off. This is for chefs. This bit looks all right. Looks more like an Arctic roll, which will do for me. Like that. And then we can then grab our dish to put it on. There we have it. Lift that out on there. And then you can decorate it how you want. So we've got a little bit of leftover cream, which you can then mix together with this, some of this raspberry mixture as well. So we take this, you get this sort of raspberry ripple effect, I suppose. Give that a little mix. Pop it into a piping bag. On there. So obviously you can leave this as it is. I think the key to this, more than anything, is try wherever possible. In fact, with any sponge, I suppose, is try not to put them in the fridge. If you do put them in the fridge, it just sets everything and it goes firm. This is much, much lighter, much better if you can do, make it and serve it at room temperature. But let's take a piping bag and then you can just, on the top, like that. And then you can decorate this with whatever fruit you've got left. Some raspberries, some strawberries, like that. But the key to this, I suppose, is that 50% flour. By using 50% flour, you don't get any cracks from it. So you don't really want to get it where the sponge is still warm when you're rolling it all up, because it's just going to affect the cream. But if you make it like that, if you whisk it up enough and you fold in the flour right, like I said to you, you're already 80% of the way there. But don't be too obsessed about getting the perfect roll. Life's too short. It's surely all about the taste, is what it should be. So you can make it look as pretty as you want. Some beautiful fresh fruit. Like that, like that, and like that. A few bits of mint. Like that. Like that. And a little dusting of icing sugar. And there we have it. Swiss roll. Kind of as easy as that. And don't forget, you've got a bit left over. Now, if there's anything you'd like to learn about Little Masks Us, then do get in touch. We see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break. But join me again in a couple of minutes. We'll be reunited in the kitchen with a good mate of mine, Mr. Nick Nairn. I'll see you in a minute. It's delicious, this. Welcome back. Now, my guest, Charlene White, will be taken into a final course of lamb shanks with a butterbean ragu and mash in just a few minutes. But first, I'm here with a chef whose journey for food has taken him from the Merchant Navy to Michelin stars to Ready Steady Cook and to an award-winning cookery school. It's the brilliant Mr. Nick Nairn. Good to have you back, Chefy. So this is quite intriguing, this dish. What are you going to be doing? Because I've never made this in my life.
Really? You never made a tortilla?
Never made a tortilla, and I don't actually think I've ever tasted one.
Right, so there's kind of two types. You get flour tortillas and you get cornmeal tortillas. This is a cornmeal tortilla, and it's made using instant massacre, which you kind of need to get online. You don't find it in supermarkets.
What the type of flour is it? Or
it's ground cornmeal, but it's ready cooked, so they've cooked it out. So you don't have to, just put it in, add water, and you can cook it straight away because there's no gluten in it. So it's gluten-free, which is another good thing for
So for a dish that I know nothing about, you've given me quite a lot of ingredients to cook with.
I have done, yes.
One.
Yeah, no.
So I'm making a little avocado.
Guacamole.
Right, that's that. Nice little sauce, which is this one.
Mexican white sauce, yeah.
And this...
Pico de gallo,
right.
Yeah, which is like a salsa, but drier.
OK, so I'll do that. You can concentrate on this over here. So I'll
make
crack on and do this one.
the tortilla. So I've got the massacre, which is the fine cornmeal flour, into a bowl. Add a little bit of salt to that, and just enough water to bring it into a paste.
So as a Scot, why this one for you then? Is this?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Well, I was just thinking.
And rightly so. It's because it's popular. Do you know, this is really a posh fish finger sandwich. When you think about it. And it's the kind I've found myself at the end of my career. I'm cooking the kind of food that people want to eat. I'm not cooking sort of fine dining. Although I suppose we do some tasting menu stuff.
But don't you find that it's the food that you actually want to eat? That's the kind of, rather than what everybody else. It's what food that you want to eat as well.
Correct. It's the stuff that when you go out, it's what you want to have.
So is this the sort of thing you're doing? Because you've got the cookery school.
Yep.
Which you've had a bit of a nightmare few years, haven't it? Talk about COVID. You've been compounded with not just that, but everything.
So we had COVID.
Flood, fire.
We had a flood. Then we had a fire. A restaurant burnt down, and we've been trying to rebuild that one, the one in Bridge of Allan Nicks. But it's finally like the phoenix is rising out of the ashes, and we've got a chance to do everything from scratch again. So that's what your tortilla looks like once you've pressed it out, and you just got to peel that back. And then we're going to cook that on a hot planche, and that's it, really. So we'll do one each.
And these presses, I get you can get them online. These are easy to get hold of.
There's millions of different kinds. This is one of the good ones. This is cast iron. I wouldn't have expected anything less. But you can get sort of cheaper wooden ones and plastic.
You mean I bought this? You didn't bring it down on the plane?
No, not a cast iron one, mate. So excess luggage, Mr. Nairn. Yeah, we got 10 kilos of press.
So tell me about the Merchant Navy then, because that must have been an amazing experience for you, wasn't it? Travelling the world.
Do you know, it absolutely was. And I've actually started writing my memoirs, and the Merchant Navy part has taken up quite a big time, quite a big part of it.
How did that start then? How did that begin?
Well, I decided I was going to go to university to study chemical engineering. And I got there and I thought, stuff this, I'm out of here. Right. And I was walking down the street in Glasgow, and I saw this advert, wanted Merchant Navy officers, and it was this kind of like, recruitment poster, handsome guy, with a cap on and a bird in his arm. And I thought, that's for me. The reality was slightly different, It was like bailing out bilges and painting and chipping and stuff. But, I learned how to do navigation and stuff, and I did 3 years at college. And I actually ended up passing all my exams, much to my surprise.
You travelled the world, though, didn't you? All over the place.
Man, in my first trip to sea, I'm 17 years old, waved bye-bye to my mum and dad. I got on a plane and I found myself in Singapore. And, my dad was such a plain eater. We never really had much other than mince and tatties or, maybe a roast or something like that. And then here I am eating satay in Singapore. And that is the thing that kind of turned me on.
And that's why you fell in love with that kind of food.
Yeah,
so tell us what you're doing over here, because we don't want to...
So this is a bit of pane. So I've just got some beautiful place. I don't know where you got this from.
That's Cornish place.
Cornish, well, it's every bit as nice as Scottish place, I have to admit. And I've just put it in some plain flour, into a little bit of egg wash, into some panko breadcrumbs, press those down. We'll get some nice little goujons, which we'll deep fry later on. And this fish fingers, it's got fish with crunch on the outside. And I think this kind of pane and deep fry gets quite a bad press amongst serious chefs. But it is.
But you see, it's one of these things. I went to an event the other day, and there was a three Michelin star chefs were there. And then we were at a college, and the students came in with fish goujons. Everybody went for the fish goujons.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Exactly. So, you know, this is, you know, for the...
It comes back to what we're talking about. It's the cooking food that you want to eat, isn't it?
Exactly. And you smell that lovely lime and all these different flavours, the guac, the pico. It's lots of different textures. So that's ready for deep frying. Just going to give my fingers a little bit.
So in this dressing, I've got some yogurt, I've got some mayonnaise, we've got some spice. What spice you got? A bit of cumin, is that?
A bit of cumin, we have a paprika, a little bit of salt and pepper, just kind of to taste. The one thing is if you can put it in a squeezy so it kind of zizzes out at the end.
And some garlic.
A little bit of garlic. Can I grab that there? Yeah, a little bit. If you do the garlic with the zester so it doesn't stick in the nozzle.
I've done that. So what are you doing now then? How do you cook these then?
So we'll just take these like so, pop them on here. Off comes the paper. And the last one.
Okay, and I've got this little salsa which is onions, garlic, chilli. Is that diced tomato that going there?
Diced tomato, like sort of...
a bit of coriander and a touch of ketchup.
Yeah, just a little bit of ketchup for sweetness.
Okay.
There we go.
Just a little bit of that.
And...
It's going to go in there. And a little bit of ketchup.
Yeah. And then if you want a little bit of oil and a little bit of lime juice, and then maybe just check the seasoning just to see how
I can do that.
it's going.
A little bit of lime in there as well. So what you've got the cook school is about to reopen as well.
Yeah, it is at last. I mean,
that was not a fire, flood.
That was a flood, yes. I
bet your insurance company loves you when you phone them up, don't they?
Let's not talk about that, James.
You've had it all, you haven't you?
I honestly you wouldn't get on a plane with us, that's for sure.
Says the people when he leaves here.
Yeah, I know. It's Nairn.
Right.
Head for the hills. But you know what? The restaurant's going to be even better because we've had a complete rebuild. The cook school's going to be even better. It's going to be designed by Mrs. Nairn and not by me. So it's going to be quite soft now and user friendly. It's not going to be nearly so kind of hard and chefy as the way I had it. So the little fish fingers, little goujons, go into the oil. Oil set to about 170, 180. And
it's quite hot oil you want for these little goujons, don't you?
Yeah. So I'll just do 2 at first, then I'll do another 2 as well.
Well, I think I've done everything over here.
So you should add the green stuff.
The green
red
stuff?
stuff, the white stuff.
I've got it. I've got that. That's all the stuff I've got all lined up there, yeah.
And we've got a couple of plates for serving. There we go. The tacos are good to go on there now. They could just one on each plate. So out come my goujons. That place is absolutely fabulous. Just beautiful.
I remember coming. We need to do another one of your. I came up before. We did a. We did a cookery school. I need to come up and do it again.
Yeah, just to remind me. So I put a class online. And it takes about 6 weeks to sell out. James Martin puts a class online. It takes 6 minutes, and then we've got a waiting list.
Well, I'll come and do it again, should I?
Yeah, no,
do it again. Enjoyed it.
No, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yeah, and you were really good.
Well, you know that I absolutely adore Scotland. You do know that.
I know I do, and I'm desperately trying to find a property for you.
You do know that,
where you can buy a place up north.
Yeah.
So a bit of guac on top of the tortilla. A nice little fish finger on there.
I mean, this is just so... when you get a place like that, as good as that...
I know. Wee bit of this pico.
Yeah.
So
is this currently on the... Is going to be on the menu? Is this the idea?
Yeah. This will be... Well, this will be at the cook... So the cook school is now Nick's Portmanteeth, and the new restaurant, when it opens, will be Nick's Bridge of Allen. But this is the kind of...
Because when I was at the restaurant, it was very much pizza oven-y. It's still going to be that vibe?
No. It will be much more sort of small plates, sharing plates. I've got an extremely talented young exec chef who's just ready for doing his first thing. So it's going to be pretty groovy. It's the kind of place that I love to eat. It's like exactly what you said earlier.
It is.
Where do chefs go to eat on the day off?
Exactly. Where you eat this kind of stuff as well. We've got this beautiful little fish. So give us the name of this then.
So this is our tortilla. It's a fish taco. And it's basically a tortilla with a little bit of guac, a goujon, and some pico de gallo and some white stuff on top.
With some white stuff on top. Looks spectacular to me. Nick Nairn, everybody. It's what you said. Chefs want to eat, innit, really?
Yeah, absolutely. This will be about the old
Looking forward to this, really.
Yeah.
All these amazing flavours.
And it's just everything works. It's like, oh, I love this stuff. And it's pretty healthy, you know.
They're super tasty, isn't it?
Got everything going on.
Ain't love with that. Nick Nairn, everybody. Good luck with everything. The opening's coming soon as well. Thanks very much for that. There you go. Today's always a learning day. We've still got time for one more final course, so join us again after the break when we're making a show-stopping dish of braised lamb shanks. I can smell them in the oven with mashed potato and butter beans for all my guests. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back, sadly, to the final part of the show. But I'm back in the kitchen. I can't believe we're booing on this show. But I'm back in the kitchen with Claude, Chantelle, Charlene, and of course, Nick Nairn. Yay! All of you. Now, this. I was looking at the dishes that you love, right? And I've got to be honest with you. I ignored a member of the crew that's with us today in this gathering of 5 people.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it because I was too busy reading about yourself and everything else.
And forgot
it was all about you.
Else.
It was all about the chicken, and it was all about the next course that we're going to do. Your favourite dish is
lamb.
Because the gentleman sat over there. You sat there. Look at that face. That's scowling. Lamb has never been on your menu since about 1906.
2007.
2007 was the last time you put lamb on it.
Yeah, when I left Shropshire to move to London.
Why don't you like lamb?
I think it's my mum doing this gigot d'agneau and flageolet at home who put me away from the smell of it.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't do it.
Well, you're going to have to suffer for the next 10 minutes.
That's fine. That's
I'm so sorry.
Do you know what? You use that as a pretext, but I know every time I come, he's cooking lamb for me.
Yeah. And I know next time I go to his restaurant, the first dish is going to be horseradish. Just a piece of horseradish, because that's mine as well. So I'm going to get you to chop everything. Chop the shallots. Cool. This is for I'm going to do a braised lamb shanks with butter beans and some parsley and mashed potato and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get you to chop all those bits and pieces. The lamb shanks that we got over here. Now, back when you last put it on the menu, these were relatively inexpensive lamb shanks.
Yeah.
I remember working in London at the time. They used to be about 30p each.
So they were free.
More or less free. Wow. Yeah, something like that. Now they're not.
Not at all.
No. Depends where you...
In France, it's a delicacy. Souris d'agneau, we call it.
Well, you used to be able to get these for nothing in London. Back in, well, not so long ago, really, did you?
About 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, you used to be able to get these for, well, pence, really.
Yeah,
okay. But these are amazing lamb. And the reason why I cook lamb quite a bit, because we need to support all the lamb farmers that we have in this country as well. So we're just saying that. We've got a New Zealander sat over there. I should be saying that as well. But it's going really well, this. I've thought about this dish really well, haven't I? Really? That's upset 2 of my guests.
Going really well,
happy,
James.
as long as you're happy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's all about me.
It's a bit like an episode of Loose Women, isn't it, really? Now, you're about to hit the road. This is something pretty surreal, this. This is taking Loose Women on tour. We sort of touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
Tell us about this thing, because this is pretty fun.
Well, for the first time in its history, yeah, we're taking
Maybe the last time in its history.
It might be the last time. The venues may well be like, yeah, we're not having them back again. For the first time ever, we are travelling up and down the country, across the whole of the UK, and we're taking our live shows to various theatres, concert halls. We're even going to London Palladium. We're taking it out on tour, doing a show, a few surprises, everybody's favourite ladies, and we're hoping that people see it as a bit of a night out.
Nice.
Do you have a thing like this in France, Loose Women?
No.
No.
I was just thinking about this. I don't think we have. No.
Do you think it would catch on?
You know, all those women gathering on the telly now.
No, I don't think we have. I mean, I left France 25 years ago, but last time I was there, I didn't see any program similar to Loose Women. I actually quite like it.
It's fun, isn't it?
You like watching it. I just mean, on the other hand, when you're on it, it's a different story altogether. But I mean, it's amazing that it hasn't been done before.
No, I know, and I just think it's a format that's made for a live show.
It is
so
made for
essentially,
it.
we do it live.
Yeah.
And we've had the audience back now since the autumn, because of course we couldn't have an audience during COVID. And having an audience back, and it is honestly, they have so much fun. And they're almost quite disappointed when the show finishes and comes off air because they want to keep it going. So actually, we just thought we'll just take it out on the road, then everybody can have an opportunity of doing it.
Amazing.
And we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to doing what we do in front of thousands of people in various different venues.
It's going to be pretty different to your date. We got the lamb over here. I'll just put all the liquor in, the herbs and the bay leaf and that kind of stuff. I'm just going to cover it over so Claude doesn't get upset and then put it in the oven for a little bit.
Don't burn it.
Yeah, don't burn it. That's going to go in the oven. But it's been very different as opposed to a show that you do normally because, you know, having something like doing the news, it must be quite regimented all the time and everything.
Yeah. It's
Whereas
so
this women, it's
different.
just,
You kind of... I mean, there is a certain element of structure to the show for Loose, but even things like having an audience. When the audience came back in the autumn, that's the first time I'd ever done a show with an audience before. So that was quite scary. But having them there just makes... I don't know, it completes the show.
Yeah.
But I obviously don't have that on the news. It's a very different kettle of fish. It's a lot quieter, let's put it that way.
Where does the confidence come from? Because you're a very confident woman. Where does that come from?
I'm the eldest child. I think when you're the eldest child, you're born with a certain element of confidence, I think. And, you know, and going to drama school and whatever, all that plays into it. But I think when you're the eldest child and you're given a lot of responsibility, especially for your younger siblings, you tend to be a little bit more confident, I think.
And then, do you miss that sort of thing from drama school? Is it you feel like you've found your job now? Because I get the news, you feel very, very comfortable when you're watching you. I always think...
Oh, bless you.
That, to be able to present... I mean, I present this, and I've been doing this for 16 years, and I can cook, talk, juggle bits and pieces. Well, I can't juggle, but read the autocue at the same time. I just think to sit there and read the autocue just frightens the hell out of me.
But then I think what you do and, you know, talking to us and cooking and doing this amazing meal, to me...
It's called distraction. This is what this is. It's called distraction. Nobody's actually found out about it in the last 16 years, to be honest with you.
But doing that, to me, I can't do what you do, because it's like having your brain in a million different places and making it look easy, which is what you do. But I love... You know, I'm a great believer that everybody should have a level of understanding of what is happening in the world, because everything that happens at some point in time will affect us. And I think what we do as news broadcasters is more important than ever.
But almost in a way it's more than the written news, because...
I'm not going down that road.
But do you know what I mean? But do you know what I mean? It's just that you...
No, because written news, you know, I think... a lot of people think about written news in the old school way where, you know, I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to walk down to the newsagents, I'm going to buy a newspaper, whereas, you know, some of the biggest websites in the world used to be just sole newspapers.
Yeah.
And they now also provide news 24/7. They have overnight teams, they have teams working all through the day. But I think, you know, when you have big state occasions, like the Queen's funeral, for example, people will instinctively turn onto a broadcast channel and watch a broadcast news network provide that, because that is something that a newspaper can't necessarily do.
Well, there we go. I'm just going to get... Seeing as this was Scotland's first ever Michelin star chef...
Just the youngest.
Just the youngest.
That wasn't yesterday.
That's when the Michelin guide used to be handwritten. That's right, I'm going to get you to season that up. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So if you can season that up.
Oh, the abuse I get you.
Oh, come on, you look... The reason why you can do this show, you invite your mates in here. Well, that's if they can get here in the first place, you know. He's going to struggle to get back to London.
First field on the left.
I can't go before he's seen me.
Oh, man, that's good.
Meanwhile, we've got our bowls over here. We're going to plate up this mash. So this is going to be a huge hit, I swear. Because when does this tour happen? When can people find out and get tickets on it?
If you go to the Loose Women website, you'll have all the details will be on there. So the tour is every weekend in September.
Right.
So you'll be able to catch us, but obviously it depends on where you are in the UK. So, and we are going across the whole of the UK, so make sure you check out which date we're going to be nearest to you. So it's going to be busy.
You're going to be busy. And we didn't even... We've been chatting all morning. We didn't even... We'll touch on a little bit parsley, plenty of parsley in there.
Plenty of parsley.
We've got to talk about I'm a celebrity, get me out of here as well. Because why? What possessed you? What?
Do you know what? Because I've said no quite a few times.
Which I do every year.
Yeah. So I'd done exactly the same.
But you keep doing it, they stop asking.
No, well, they kept going with me, James. But after COVID, I just sort of thought, well, why am I saying no? What are the reasons why I keep saying no? It's things like I was afraid of sleeping outside. I was afraid of doing challenges in case I couldn't do them. And I was afraid of creepy crawlies. But they are challenges, they are fears that you can get over. So it's almost irrational fears. And I just thought I need to stop running away from something because I think it's going to be scary. I should just do it and find out for myself if it's going to be scary or not.
How was it?
Oh, it was scary. But I really, it surprised me actually, because I honestly didn't think I'd survive more than a couple of days. And the fact that I managed to do 2 weeks still surprises me. It still feels like a bit of a dream.
Talking of the Bush Tucker trial. Open your mouth. There we go. There we go. I can't believe I did that to him. There we have it, my version of a braised lamb shank, 3 of them, because he's not having one, with butter beans and mashed potato.
Wow.
Done.
Yay!
There we have it. Your favourite.
Thank you.
One of your favourites.
Yes, definitely.
One of your favourites. And not
you.
one of your favourites. You've got the
it's
little
not.
mashed potato, if that's all right, Sheffy.
Delicious. Delicious.
It's like feeding children, isn't it, really? But, so, tell me what you think of this. The lamb shank will just fall apart.
Eating it with a spoon, in fact.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, look at that.
But
Oh,
with
look
that,
at that.
it's cherry vinegar.
Makes a big difference.
Mashed potato, OK?
Mashed potatoes
Happy with
gorgeous.
that? Yeah. Delicious without the lamb. Yeah, exactly.
Good mash, Claude, yeah.
It's a delicious mash.
Yeah, good mash.
James,
with that?
this was lovely.
It's nice, isn't it? Happy with that. Well, best of luck with
So
everything.
tasty.
I love watching you on the news as well. Best of luck with the tour as well. I'm sure
Thank
that'd be
you.
fun.
Please come.
And I'll be too busy clearing up after you, to be honest with you. I know that's going to happen as well. But thank you very much, guys, for coming along as well. And for you, Claudie. And London's that way, by the way, on your way back home. That's it. That's all we've got time for today. A massive thank you to all my guests. Chris Puncher, Claude Bosi, Chantelle Nicholson, Nick Nairn, and, of course, Charlene White. We'll see you back here same time next Saturday morning. We'll be joined by more top chefs, other brilliant guests. Until then, take care, stay safe. See you at my house next Saturday morning. Bye for now.